Okay, welcome to another episode of Bland Gaming, the most boring channel on the internet here. I wanted to talk to you all about what is Twilight 2000. The reason why I wanted to talk about what is Twilight 2000 is because right here in front of you, I'm a bit of a hoarder. And I don't throw things away. So in front of you, these are the supplements and the original materials of Twilight 2000 that I played with my friends when I was in ninth grade. So let's date myself here. This was published in 1984. So these books that I have here, they would come in like a box set and what have you, with a whole bunch of the charts and things like that. It was 1984 is when I got these books. I played these in junior high and then later in high school quite a bit. So the reason why it's important to discuss Twilight 2000 right now is because my favorite gaming company in the whole wide world, Free League, is in it's August right now, so I think it's in mid-August. They're getting ready to release a new version of Twilight 2000 via Kickstarter first. And they're going to use the Mutant Year Zero engine, which will be very interesting because this version here, the 1980s version, was, in my opinion, very complicated as far as the weapons charts and things like that. They had skills and abilities like coolness under fire. This was one of the very first games to actually use hit location, where like you get hit in the head, hit in the torso, what have you. And I mean, the box set would come with these, and these are falling apart. That's how old they are. They're over 30 years old. But you'd have vehicle damage location charts. You would have these are the actual charts of all of the different weapons that you would use. So it's very, very vehicle hit locations. And then, hit location charts for the actual characters and stuff. So this was a very, very complicated system in comparison to, say, Dungeons and Dragons and everything. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they apply the Mutant Year Zero, which is a very story-based. It's a very story-based system, in the sense that it's streamlined. Combat is very smooth. It's very quick. A lot of it takes place in theater of the mind and everything. So I'm very interested to see where they go. So anyway, what is Twilight 2000? Before we even get into that, okay, we have to go with the bland gaming drink. And it's late in the evening, so it is old-fashioned time. I'm about halfway through it and everything. Had half of it with Mrs. Bland Gaming before I started tonight here. So anyway, so Twilight 2000 is not a World War III. It involves World War III, but it is not a World War III setting. It is a survival setting. So the idea is that in 1996, the Soviet Union, the Warsaw Pact and NATO finally flare up, and they go to war. And this war goes on for 4 years, and it basically exhausts both sides. And by the year 2000, which is when the game takes place, all of the gasoline is used up, and most of the vehicles that they have, like tanks and armored personnel carriers, things like that, are run off of alcohol vehicles. And the players were part of the last major offensive of the United States 5th Division. Now, even though you were attached to an American division, because of all the disarray and people getting separated from their units, you could literally choose, when you played a character, when you made your character, you could choose to play an American, Canadian, British, West German, Danish. You could even play the Warsaw Pact. You could play a deserter or a defector. You could play a Polish character, a Hungarians, Czechs, or Soviet character, and everything, whatever you wanted to do. But really, the majority of the characters would be Americans, because you're attached to this American U.S. 5th Division. So anyway, everything goes. You're in Poland right now, and the game would start with you in Poland, and it came with this map here that you can see. This is a map of Poland, and you were in Kalisz, I think, which is right here in Poland. And what would happen is in this final offensive, everything just kind of goes to absolute complete crap, and everything falls apart, and you're on your own. And you may have access to armored vehicles, whatever, but your party is on their own, and it is very much a sandbox game where you'd be given this map and you say, okay, well, what cities do you want to go to? And there would be a little bit of entries in the referee's manual here. And it was very interesting. This is Game Designers Workshop. They would have this lined artwork, which I thought was really cool. That's a good T-72. And when I was an 8th grader or 9th grader, when we first started playing this and everything, I just thought this was the most amazing art ever. And if you've watched my videos, even as a kid, I was so enamored by art. So art for me, it turns me on to a game, and it also turns me off to a game and everything. So anyway, I don't want to get too... My wife is into marketing, and she says that my videos that do really well are the videos where I keep it short. So I'm going to try and keep this short and everything. So because I want to give you a preview, and I want to encourage you, like me, I am going to be backing the Year Zero version, the Free League version of Twilight 2000. So, but anyway, this game here, in this game, this is not you are a NATO country and you're engaging in war. There are marauders, there are deserters, there are people that are just trying to survive. This is very close to, it's much more close to like a Mad Max scenario than it is a World War III scenario. However, the players, it is in its sense, it is a true sandbox game in the sense that you have to decide, you as a group, you as players and everything, you have to decide, what are we? Do we have our allegiance to the United States of America? Are we trying to get on a boat so we can go back home? Are we going to try and just kind of travel the land and do the best we can and scrounge for items and equipment and everything? It's completely up to the players. And all of these little cities had little entries. Maybe sometimes it was just a paragraph or two, but it kind of gave a GM enough information to be able to go with it and to be able to allow the characters to go out and explore post-apocalyptic Poland, because you had Soviets running around, you had friendly troops running around, you had deserters running around, you had marauders running around. And then there were just civilians that were trying to survive and whatnot. So anyway, me and my friends really enjoyed it. We really had a good time with it. And it's much more of a post-apocalyptic than an actual war scenario and everything. These were a few of the supplements that I had, the U.S. Army Vehicle Guide. I remember so this is version 1, by the way. My understanding is that there was a second edition and maybe even a third edition. I don't know. I'd have to check. But this is the first edition. This is the stuff from the 1980s, 1984. Like I said, I think I just checked the publishing and everything. But this has just a list of all the U.S. Army vehicles that you could get. Now, because they don't have gasoline is completely run out, and they've converted all their vehicles to run on alcohol. So you still have things like tanks and armored vehicles and things like that, but you don't have aircraft because they are not able to convert the aircraft to go to alcohol and everything. So there's no helicopters, there's no airplanes, anything like that. It's primarily ground forces at this point. Very cool book. Pirates of the Vestula involves the players. Oh, sorry about the glare. The players riding a tugboat and everything up through war-torn Poland, which was pretty cool. Also, the Ruins of Warsaw was very much where they get into factionalized fighting within the capital of Poland, Warsaw. This was really interesting. This was RDF Sourcebook. I really liked this one because this was one of the first ones where it showed U.S. Marine, if I remember correctly. U.S. Marine, but this is the Middle East. So while the war is going on in Europe and the primary setting is in Poland, this was kind of a Middle Eastern perspective. So you could play. And what was really interesting about this is, I believe, if I remember correctly, Iran is still on the side of the United States, and so these are the forces that are in. These are the forces that are in the Middle East and everything. So, but it's very much just like the other setting and everything. It's all fallen apart. Things are just fallen apart. When you have Israeli, you can play Israeli characters and stuff like that. So this was pretty cool. The other thing that was very cool about this setting in RDF is because it takes place in the Middle East, gasoline is not as scarce. So there was a lot more availability for aircraft and things like that. The free city of Krakow was really cool. I must have played this 3 or 4 times. So in this setting, it's like the city of Krakow in Poland has become almost like a Casablanca. And you can see it's right down here in southern. And it's funny because my friends from 8th, 9th grade, they've got pencil notes all over this and everything. So anyway, in Krakow, it's like this Casablanca where they have got running water there. They've got electricity started up there again. And you could go into Krakow and you could have whatever type of business that you wanted to do. The only restriction was you had to leave the war at the edge of the city and everything. So there's some really cool stuff that was going on there. The other thing that's really cool about the Free City of Krakow is it introduces the premise of what's called Operation Reset. And I know that Operation Reset is going to be a part of the new Kickstarter version of it. So just a real brief overview, trying not to spoil anything for you. What happened was when there were nuclear weapons that were deployed and the EMPs wiped out all the computers and things like that. And Operation Reset is basically about recreating the computers and adding the computers and bringing computers back and everything so that they could restart civilization. And that's a integrated part of the plot point there in the Free City of Krakow. Heavy Weapons Guide is just, it's just pictures of bazookas and all sorts of rocket launchers and things like that. So Game Designers Workshop, I think this is a 2nd edition book and everything, but I think the logo is a little bit different. Game Designers Workshop did a pretty good job of it. I am thoroughly excited to see what Free League does. Now, Free League has said that they are going to continue with the open sandbox. If you've played Mutant Year Zero, the very first book, there is a sandbox, like a hex type of system that they have where you go out and explore and things like that. I believe they're going to use that same kind of system here for Twilight 2000. They're going to use the Year Zero. They've already confirmed they're using the Year Zero engine, but they've also confirmed that they're going to make it much more gritty and realistic to kind of suit the setting and everything. Because this is there's no mutants in this. There's no robots or anything like that. This is truly the Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome with a very militaristic edge and everything. So anyway, check Kickstarter. This is going to be coming out. I cannot imagine. I love Free League and I loved this game when I was growing up. So of course I'm going to back it. Have a look at it. See what you think. If you've heard anything that I haven't included here in the video, please let me know in the comments. If you played Twilight 2000, please leave your impressions in the comments. Let me know what you thought. And then I think it is just check Kickstarter. I'm sorry I don't have the specific date for you, but it should be mid-August is when this Kickstarter is going to begin. And I would encourage all of you. The cover art is done by Martin Grip. The interior art is, I think it's the same guy that did Forbidden Lands and everything. And I believe he did Mutant Year Zero as well. But I've seen pictures of the art. The art's great. The cool thing about this setting is that if someone wants to know what a T-72 tank looks like, there is the Google out there. So you're not as dependent on the artwork as in some of these fantasy games and everything. But anyway, hey, thanks for watching. Much to my wife's chagrin, I kept this under 15 minutes. So I'll post it and let me know what you think. Thanks for tuning in to the most boring channel on the internet.